for our first-time guests, you are in for a treat. We have amazing teams ready to get you into the innovative spirit more than Mariah Carey gets us into the holiday spirit singing All I Want for Christmas. Now, the members of Cohort 11 have completed an academic program complete with lessons on building and leveraging diverse teams through a productive and festive innovation process. Fittingly, today is the Festival of Unmentionable Thoughts, which is a day specifically set aside to encourage people to express thoughts or ideas that are typically considered unconventional, taboo, or outside the mainstream. Innovation also involves thinking outside the box, challenging conventional ideas, and exploring unconventional thoughts. Our Cohort 11 teams are gathering at today's online Festival of Unmentionable Thoughts because they know that creativity and innovation can sometimes stem from ideas that may initially seem unmentionable, controversial, or unconventional. Mattel has Weird Barbie as their nonconformist and creative thinker. Project Mercury has these innovators as risk-taking embracers of imperfection, adopting unconventional ideas to contribute to a more innovative and creative environment. That is correct. I have called you all Weird Barbie and is meant as the highest compliment. These teams will mention the problems that they scoped and the real solutions that they experimented with in order to pursue innovative solutions that might not be sought out otherwise. With us, taking a break from trying to re-gift Grandma's fruitcake from 2009, we are honored to have 3 esteemed panel members who will review today's presentations. They will make a list and they will check it a bunch of times and ultimately select our award winners. Chairing today's panel is Lieutenant General Retired G.I. Tuck, CEO of Robbins Joya, a software development company specializing in logistics, transportation, distribution, and supply chain strategies. He's also the former commander of 18th Air Force and the director of logistics for the Joint Staff, supporting the chairman in advising the SecDef and the president on military options. Now meet Dr. Marina Theodotou, Executive Director and Designated Federal Officer Defense Innovation Board. Dr. Theodotou is the author of The 5 Building Blocks of a Learning Ecosystem and producer and host of the webcast Think Differently at Defense Acquisitions University. This is her 3rd time appearing as a Project Mercury panelist. So welcome back, Dr. Theodotou. Brigadier General Retired Jeremy Kid Sloane, former wing commander of the 36th Wing, Anderson Air Force Base, Guam, and former Air War College Commandant at Air University, who earlier in his career served as the Ops Officer and Thunderbird No. 7. And finally, Lieutenant Colonel Julie Pistol Janson, someone who's contributed enormously to Project Mercury as a master coach and mentor. Pistol is an Air Force Information Operations Officer and helped found the IO specialization. She's currently serving as the military assistant to the NATO Joint Warfare Center in Stavanger, Norway. Hopefully I said that right. Thank you all for investing the time today to make today's event a rich experience. I'd also like to recognize Cohort 11 head coach, Dr. Ethan Eagle, and the Innovatrium founders, Dr. Jeff and Stanny DeGraff. Now, the Innovatrium also brought in several ringers from military, academia, and industry to help these teams develop their projects. Michelle Coyle, Cleo Smith, Heidi Gustafson, Professor Darrell Holness, Dr. Joe Byram, and Jim Fish. These innovators in residence proved invaluable input and feedback to our teams as they developed their pitches. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my pleasure to introduce the head of today's panel, Lieutenant General Tuck.
Hey, everyone. First off, no, thanks for that amazing intro, and thanks to everyone for being here. It's just amazing the wide range of talent that's on this call. I'd like to thank the Air University Command and President, Lieutenant General Andrea Toulos, for the invitation and opportunity to gather with you today. Dr. DeGraff, welcome, sir. It's a pleasure to see you again. Dr. Eagle, it's a pleasure to meet you, sir. And thanks to Jim Draganski, who who allows us all to be together and do this. It's wonderful. To our esteemed judges, Dr. Theodotou, General Sloane, Colonel Janson, thank you for taking the time to invest in our coaches and participants from Cohort 11. It's a big deal. Former Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General Milley, said the Joint Force was at a strategic inflection point. If we fail to adapt, we risk losing without fighting. Those are really important words. His point was that our adversaries are growing in economic might, technology, sophistication, and we're increasingly dissatisfied with the existing international order. The U.S. must be prepared for strategic competition. The status quo is untenable. General Brown, who took over as chairman, the direction to accelerate for him remains. Urgency has probably increased. Groups like these are going to interact in that space, and it's important. Project Mercury in and of itself is very important. If we're going to systematically unleash the potential of great assets, our people, we must invest in a culture that supports calculated risk-taking, learning, and adaptation. This is easier said than done. Sometimes rigid, hierarchical military system. It's about empowerment, mission command, culture of experimentation. Even in industry, people, humans are more important than hardware, because in free societies, human creativity gives birth to new technologies, relationships, operating concepts. Our asymmetric advantage over countries like Russia and China and other authoritarian regimes. When it comes to the pacing threat from China, we're not only going to compete on scale, we have to outthink, outpartner, out-innovate them. Your work in Project Mercury helps us to do exactly that. I'm excited to see today's showcase. Let's get to it. Back to you, Mo.
Thank you so much, General. Next up, we welcome to the screen Dr. Jeff DeGraff, the founder of the Innovatrium and builder of Project Mercury's curriculum. Dr. DeGraff is a professor of practice at the Ross School of Business. I forget which university, maybe Michigan? Yeah, University of Michigan. Dr. DeGraff, over to you.
Thanks, Mo. I want to just echo what G.I. said. Boy, it's a real privilege to be here. I'm really excited to see what you've done. You know, the work that you're doing is very different than most of the stuff I'm involved with, you know, a new chip or a new biotherapy. You guys are defending our country, and that's a very important thing. And I just really want to thank you for that. So first, congratulations on the accomplishment. You got through it. There's a lot of extra hours you did above and beyond. And innovation's kind of a thankless job, but you know, it's better than drinking. It's sort of a pathology. So it's something you just do, right? You do it anyway. I really want to make sure that you understand that this is the start. The object here is to operationalize these ideas. It doesn't matter if we have a great idea, if we can't get it into play. And that's what I really want to see today. And I'm really a big believer that Marina has this right. Your job when you leave here is to actually lead innovation, which is hard to do. Bureaucracies don't really like, positive deviance, but that's part of the drill. That's part of what you have to endure. And remember, in the same way that you were apprenticed by these master innovators, it's your job when you leave here to apprentice others. That's how great institutions, dynastic institutions like the Air Force are built, or universities, right, for that matter. So I really want to make sure you continue to build your network, you continue to diversify your mindset. This adaptive mindset that GI talked about is critical. I cannot emphasize enough, you have to tolerate ambiguity. You have to figure things out in real time. This is the challenge of it. You have to model constructive conflict. We're a country that's divided. We need people to pull us together and build hybrids. That's what we need, right? And skill is all you have. What did Heraclitus say? War and outrageous fortune takes everything else, right? So skill, work on your skill. Now, the biggest thing about today is I hope we get momentum today. Today is a day for enthusiasm. We're going to support each other. We're going to be a team. We're going to move onward, ever onward, encouraging each other to make innovation happen in the United States Air Force. And for that, I congratulate everybody here. I'll see you at the end of this, give you a few what we get at the end of the rainbow here, but I'm so excited to hear you today. Mo, back to you.
Thank you, Dr. DeGraff. All the takeaway was innovation. It's better than drinking. So good. I love it. Cohort 11 focused on Agile Combat Equipment, or ACE, and the Air Force Future Operating Concepts 6 fights. All teams were charged with building a collaborative network outside of the traditional Air Force lanes. And unlike the North Pole fat man's elves who work just one night a year, these teams worked part-time over the past 12 weeks through stubborn problems with an inordinate amount of ambiguity and looked outside the box for tactics that could make a disproportionate impact. Now, one of our teams, Team Swift Justice, started out a little differently. They attended their jumpstart in Singapore and then joined this Project Mercury cohort a couple months later. The other 5 teams started their jumpstart in Montgomery, Alabama. All of these teams spent 12 weeks juggling academics and a self-selected team project. Through this experience, they cultivated the 3 C's of innovation: culture, competency, and community. These teams will share and discuss their findings with our esteemed panel and with you, our innovation community. Round 1 of these pitches will be 3 condensed pre-recorded pitches, each followed by 5 minutes of Q&A. After that, we'll roll into round 2, which is 3 live pitches, each followed by 10 minutes of Q&A time. This is an interactive event, so throughout all the pitches, make sure you comment, share information, and get connected in the chat. All 6 team videos will be made available after this event on our LinkedIn page, and we will make sure to put that link to the page in the chat. Then you'll be able to watch all these pitches over again. So let's get on to them. As we roll these pre-recorded pitches, put on your best critic hat, because at the end of the first 3 pitches, you, the audience, will be voting for the best short version pitch. The team with the most votes receives the coveted Project Mercury People's Choice Award. The first team is from Team 2, Pacific Blitzen. They looked at the problem of the fight to get into theater and narrowed in on the idea of standoff cargo. They were coached by Anthony Potenzone and RJ Grimley. It would be rude of me to not have you be recognized. So Team Blitzen, Pacific Blitzen, if you could give your best on-camera wave so we all know who you are. And for all of our spectators, remember that these innovators collaborated despite being geographically separated. So Paulina will roll the video and we will watch them slay.
In a world fraught with challenges, our deployed team found themselves isolated on an island, surrounded by the relentless threat of an enemy destroyer. Cut off from vital supplies, they faced a dire situation due to the lack of food. They were surviving solely on coconuts and sand crabs. The resupply aircraft's attempts were unsuccessful because of the vigilant destroyer, pushing the team to the brink. Amidst this crisis, a game-changing solution emerged. It was the development of an innovative capability to airdrop up to 8 2,000-pound supply pallets. They could descend beyond the destroyer's range and cover a remarkable 250-mile glide, reaching the stranded men and women. This revolutionary method aimed not only to sustain the team, but also to mitigate the risks posed to the aircraft and aircrew. This newfound capability promised a lifeline for the isolated team. By dispersing multiple pallets, the odds of successfully delivering supplies increased, even in the face of potential interceptions. It was a tactical approach that ensured the immediate survival of the troops and gave us the much-needed time to develop a plan to bring them home safely.
Awesome, thank you. General Tuck, I drew the short straw for you. What comments, questions, or pushback do you have for this team?
First off, thanks for the video production. It's pretty impressive. Anything that you can do in a contested environment that requires some standoff with an ability to deliver sustainment. It's just a great idea. And so thanks for putting that to us. As you think about the next thing you might do with this, you're going to test this out with the 19th wing. What are some of the, were there any blind spots that were revealed as you took a look at this from just from an opportunity to see cargo leaving an aircraft out of a threat area and going in that could absolutely be, if it doesn't deliver, let's say, and as you go through testing, what makes you confident that this kind of innovation will actually help leaders out in the Pacific where you took a look at?
Hey, good afternoon, sir. Bill Groff from Little Rock Air Force Base. Can you hear me all right?
Hey, Bill, absolutely.
So to get after that, sir, what is going to make this innovation work, and how is this going to help us in the Pacific and just in general? So using essentially, if you're familiar with JPADS, the Joint Precision Airdrop System, if utilizing the system that we're already familiar with, we're just putting basically a motor and a gas tank on it, being able to push it out, and we'll be able to use those current procedures that we have right now, allowing us to basically propel this forward faster than having to develop something entirely new. What this is going to allow us to do is it's going to give commanders different options on how to resupply folks downrange. You have the option of standoff outside of the pulsed operations that we standardly talk about, being able to do unilateral operations, and it gives you more tools in your tool belts to be able to operate in that kind of environment. You combine this with things like Rapid Dragon and palletized munitions, as well as potentially putting on different palletized effects, gives you a lot of capability. Additionally, it gives you dilemmas for your adversaries in terms of targeting. Are they going to try to target these bundles? Are you going to try to prosecute these C-130s that are doing these supply drops? So those combinations will give more tools and be useful out in the Pacific, in our opinion.
Very much appreciated.
Sir.
Now we can just open up to the panel. We've got about a minute and a half left, but I also see a question from Celeste. Did you find a gap between airmen and developers, or is there a good relationship there already? Over to team 2.
Once again, great question, and something that we did find was a gap, and that's what we're trying to provide with this. In the Project Mercury world, we're providing more of a yellow solution than a green solution. We're trying to combine different aspects. So what we are bringing to the table is the Army was developing this program unilaterally, basically by themselves, with Freedom Flight Works, without any Air Force advisors. We talked to the Army developers and Army DevCom, and they were looking for technical POCs to try to help them. They were trying to solve a problem that took them 3 days to find the answer, such as how much gas are we allowed to have in a fuel tank on an aircraft and does it need to be vented? Something that our loadmasters here do day in and day out and could answer in 5 minutes. So that expertise is what we're really trying to provide here, and that was the gap that we identified that we think we can try to fill and provide, as well as allowing them access to airlift, which will frequently get denied just because we're busy people in the airlift world, and there's never enough airlift assets. Hopefully we can try to prioritize this, and our sponsor, Colonel Smith, has agreed to try to prioritize this for our off-station trainers in the future. So that's the gap that we're trying to bridge.
Awesome. General Sloane, my spidey senses tell me that maybe you have a question as well for this team.
The question I have is with the size of the AOR, and obviously knowing that timing and availability of aircraft is going to be critical. Did you address that? It's great to have a precise delivery, but to have an aircraft available at the time and where you need that, where you need the supplies, did you talk through how you were maybe able to do this at scale required by the theater?
The scale is definitely going to be a problem in terms of airlift and in just cost of the bundles. So in terms of the different sizes and doing this at scale, they currently have a 0.5K bundle, so 500 pounds, a 2K bundle, 2,000 pounds, and they're looking at developing a contract for a 10K, a 10,000 pound bundle. So delivering that as much as you can. But once again, we are going to be limited by the amount of airlift assets we have. And you're obviously not going to get as much cargo via airdrop, especially at a long range, as you would if you're trying to actually air land something in. So this isn't, I don't want to say it's a break in case of emergency, like break glass in case of emergency, but this isn't going to be something that you're going to do your mainstream resupply with. However, we found that you're going to get more supplies with this than you would with the drone deliveries that we were seeing, Amazon or Zipline that can only carry 5 to 10 pounds. We're talking, 500 to 1,000 pounds for the 2K variants and up to 5,000 pounds for the 10K variant. So about 50% usable load is what they're trying to aim for. In terms of the distances that you speak of, one of the mock-ups that we had was you can fly 1,000 miles on a C-130, airdrop this out and have it go between 100 and 500 miles away. So 14 to 1,500 miles away from your primary location. And the C-130 can return home or go somewhere else. With the C-17 and other air refueling operations, you could get even further range out of it. But doesn't necessarily help everybody with the solution of we still have limited airlifts and we still have limited tankers available to us. It's still a conundrum that's we're gonna need help with.
Awesome. Thank you. And one thing I should mention too, we have chat conversations going on. So team, you're also allowed to answer in the chat as well. And we will also have breakout rooms open after this whole showcase is over. So these are great questions and we can keep the conversation going on that way. So thank you to team 2. Now we have team number 1, the Flying Lions, who started with the problem space of deterring our adversaries, looking at ways to increase our recruiting numbers. Team 1 was coached by Mary Beth Slocum. So here we go.
My name is Cadet 3rd Class Mark Tang, and I'm a sophomore at the Air Force Academy.
I'm Chief Master Sergeant David Teets, Senior Enlisted Leader, 90th Mission Support Group.
I'm Staff Sergeant Sean Grell, NCOIC of Chapel Operations at F.E. Warren Air Force Base.
My name is Jamie Harland, and I currently work in the GS system as the School Age Coordinator in Grand Forks Air Force Base, North Dakota.
I'm Jeremy Van Egmond, the Education Lab Chief at the Air University Innovation Accelerator at Maxwell Air Force Base. And together, we are Team Flying Lions from the 11th cohort of Project Mercury.
A current challenge the U.S. Air Force faces is military recruitment. For the first time since 1999, the U.S. Air Force missed its recruitment numbers by 10%. During our Watching the Weather and multiple interviews with recruiters, public affairs, and Gen Zers, our team identified 2 reoccurring issues: the lack of understanding of what the military does for their day-to-day job, and the outdated platforms such as radio and TV that are used to advertise. These advertisements do not reach or appeal to the targeted demographic of Gen Zers.
To solve this issue of recruitment, we recommend changing our scope to aim at Gen Z and our younger generations. How? By appealing to what Gen Z finds interesting. We, the Flying Lions, believe that we can make a difference, increasing our recruitment numbers in this specific age group of Gen Zers, bolstering our force, and increasing our ability to deter adversaries. The Air Force can attack recruitment through social media.
Recent research tells us 57% of job seekers use social media, and an impressive 73% aged 18 to 34 found their last job through these platforms. Furthermore, 70% of managers have reported success in hiring through these platforms. Social media opens doors to engagement and recruitment on a scale unimaginable with traditional methods.
Project Ignite incorporates Gen Z interests with the voices they are already listening to on social media, providing a new pipeline of recruiting possibilities that has remained untapped.
As we built the framework and where we would start introducing our Air Force mission to the Gen Z population, we decided on starting here at F.E. Warren Air Force Base, which is the oldest continuous military base in the Department of Defense. Although we started our journey at F.E. Warren Air Force Base, it's important to bring the rest of the Air Force into this situation, as recruiting is a problem across the spectrum. So with our system, every 6 months we rotate social media presence across the MAGCOMs. This allows for our potential airmen to understand what happens across the globe, what other opportunities there may be that they may not see on the television, and to bring a humanistic feel to the situation and let our potential airmen know that we're one family and it's not just about deploying, packing our bags, and going elsewhere. We're confident that since our wing commander has graciously opened his doors to showcase what we do here, that we can get other wing commanders to follow suit, break down some barriers, and showcase what the Air Force has to offer.
With the active support of Hollywood's Advent Films and key players from SECAF, PA, and the AFRS, we have a legitimate path forward that builds a new bridge to Gen Z. It's built on authenticity and the values they care about. We need your commitment to covering the travel expenses of the mainstream social media influencer and the Advent team, who will cover the candid visit to F.E. Warren Air Force Base and give Gen Z this perspective it's craving. Join us as we ignite the future Air Force together.
Johnny Barnes kind of took the comment out of there. I looked up what Gen Z was born in. Now I feel old and I got to go change the tennis balls on my walker. Good job, team Flying Lions. Pistol, we're going to hand this one over to you first. What comments, questions, or pushback do you have?
Thanks, Mo. So great job. I mean, as an information operations person, this speaks to me on all levels. Determine your target audience, determine what mediums they use, determine how to communicate with them best. So there's a lot of goodness here that's almost, it's very common sense. So I think something that helps your pitch as you go forward, like I find it hard to believe we're not on social media or to the extent. So I think you might want to incorporate it like a very hard hitting fact of, 70% is TV and radio. And we know that Gen Z gets 10% of their information on that. You might need like that statistic to really drive home how much we're missing this. One thing I want to pose to you as a question. So obviously we are in a disinformation age and people using influencers and blowing up social media in certain ways and using certain platforms like TikTok. Some people are we're really starting to blast that's not to be trusted. What are the ethical considerations and the risks of the military entering this space too forcefully?
This is David Teets over here at F.E. Warren. So we believe that obviously we keep everything on an unclass level, keep it as simplistic as possible. There's second, third order effects that could positively counter kind of the argument against using social media, and it's the fact of having our adversaries understand our capabilities actually kind of helps us at the same time, right? So keeping close hold too much and them not knowing what our capabilities are doesn't really help us. Also, we're already doing this across the spectrum at lower levels in terms of where we haven't really reached our full potential. When we were talking to some of the individuals and doing our interviews, I know that he was very involved with AFSOC, displaying their mission, a lot of social media presence, things like that. So we know there's potential for growth. There's always going to be a PA concern. But I do believe that at the same time, we need to push through some of those public affairs barriers because we're already letting community partners on. And I know the Chief of Staff is interested in opening the gates and letting anybody that's interested in what we do, let them know on a visual basis instead of just locking the gates and pretending that we're not there.
Yeah, and I do want to follow up on that. Don't let that pushback deter you. There is so much available in open source, and sometimes we can just really clamp down if we cannot say that. And I am a big believer, to quote your song, of getting information out there that is already out there. So we should be, I call it the weaponization of truth, and we should be getting that message out there wholesale. So I'm with you on this one.
Awesome. Thanks, Pistol. Are there any other panel members who have a question for the Flying Lions?
Hi, Mo. Yes, this is Dr. Marina Theodotou. I do have a question. First of all, three things. So the why you tackled, so Team Flying Lions, you tackled a challenge that's concerning at the highest levels of the department, and that's recruitment, not only for the Air Force, but for all of our services. So kudos to that for thinking big. The how, I love the video you put together. I love the intro of everyone on the team and that collective approach that you highlighted, telling us that people are important. And you did that through your own team. People are our biggest asset. And if we cannot recruit and retain and develop and challenge our people across the department, we won't be able to out-innovate and outsmart the adversary. And lastly, the what. So you talked about your pitch or your ask at the very end, and I thought that was a small ask. You're asking for some funding to fly a group of people, influencers. I would challenge you to make your ask much bigger. what is the ask that you have for this team and why? How are you going to scale this out and tackle one of the biggest challenges the department is facing today when it comes to talent and people? Thank you.
Yeah, that's a fair question, and maybe also represented in the chat. Just wanted to touch on the 75,000 being a visit for the cost of a single visit, but we have some ideas of how we could scale this out, like Dave said in the video, to rotate the locations every 6 months and host visits in different places with different influencers that would touch base with different parts of Gen Z. So Mark Rober is more of a STEM guy, so he would tap into the engineering population. PewDiePie is more of a gamer, YouTuber, social influencer, so he would connect with the computer science engineers of the Gen Z population. So fair point. We should maybe try to represent those next steps and make the ask a little bit more broad.
Yeah, Jeremy, those are great points. But why be tethered by geography? If you're in social media, you should be able to untether the team from geography and think much bigger, and also make your expected outcome much more compelling for the department. Thank you. Mo, over to you.
Copy. Yeah, these are good questions. And again, I'm seeing some stuff in the chat, and that's good. And again, we will have the breakout rooms open, but for now, hashtag we're out of time. So thank you, team number 1. We now have team number 3, Skybound Problem Solvers, who looked at the fight to get airborne and zeroed in on drones and Project Roundtable. Team 3 was coached by Becky Gorman and Shane Smith, aka the coach formerly called Sean by Dr. Eagle. I did have some drone jokes, but they didn't really take off, and they go way over my head anyway. So here we go.
We are losing the drone war. The very technology that could reshape our defense strategies remains underutilized. We present Project Roundtable. More than just an initiative, it's a rally cry for transformation within the DIU Replicator program. This project is a beacon for change, set to empower the drone sector and the airmen who will use them. By July 2025, we envision a platform where American industry, academia, and our DoD partners converge, collaborate, innovate, and seamlessly leverage each other's strengths. With the 2021 intro of the DoD's counter-UAS strategy, we find ourselves playing defense when we should dominate this field for our troops' safety and national security. The DoD's budget report reveals an expenditure of over $1 billion in 2023, with a large portion for counter-UAS. Comments from Congress to department leaders calls to action. We have yet to see significant change. In August of this year, Deputy Secretary of Defense Kathleen Hicks announced the Replicator Initiative. However, Replicator faces skepticism. It seems to be neglecting the foundational aspects essential for drone implementation. The reality is stark. In March, Grand Forks AFB was the first in ACC to employ an SUAS program. But it took 18 months. Currently, we have many stakeholders operating independently, showing a fragmented effort that hinders progress. Identifying the crux of the issue, we face 3 major problem areas: connections between stakeholders, the need to enhance drone capabilities and availability, and redefining how we use drones. The current disjointed state demands a unified effort for a shared vision and true progress. During our time in Project Mercury, we dove headfirst into the realm of drones. We've reached out across the sector from key players in the joint force to industry, academia, and partner nations. Our journey uncovered the problems our members face and the reality of our current situation throughout the department. One of our key findings highlights how countless individuals are working on the challenges posed by drones. However, collaboration and a shared vision are often lacking. Billions have been invested into the sector over the past 4 years, yet there has been little progress or fundamental changes to the issues that arise. Conversations with grassroots innovators have revealed the hurdles they face, and conversations with leaders underscore the gravity of our current situation. The need for action, collaboration, and leveraging each other's strengths is evident, yet the changes are minimal. Enter Project Roundtable, our ambitious initiative to bridge the gaps and connect the fragmented efforts. We've found that many solutions already exist, but they are buried and hard to find. Even with the correct information, it is an uphill battle to achieve implementation. Far too often we find stories of risk-averse leadership unwilling to innovate that continue to hold us back. Our mission is simple yet profound. Create a focal point for the joint force that houses all of the necessary information and communication. We aim to provide the tools necessary to empower our members to integrate this technology at rates we failed to achieve. We will leverage the strengths of our stakeholders and innovators to prepare for this paradigm shift. We recognize the challenges at our feet and ahead of us. We believe Project Roundtable will be the catalyst for transformative change.
Awesome. All right, Dr. Theodotou, since we know you can work your unmute button, what comments, questions, or pushback do you have for this team?
Thank you so much, Mo. Again, excellent way to tee up the challenge. Well done. Team Skybound problem solvers. How we optimize innovation with our allies and partners is paramount to the department. And it's an area and a topic that we will be tackling at the Defense Innovation Board. And so my question is, how do you propose to actually collaborate with allies and partners? You alluded to this collaboration, but I would like to hear more concrete plans and approach if you have it. And if not, I recommend building it. Over to you.
Yeah, right here. So my name is Staff Sergeant Dustin Scott, and to answer your question, we've already talked to 19 major players around the drone sector as a whole, from industry to academia and within the DoD, with Deputy Secretary of Defense Kathleen Hicks' Replicator Initiative. We want to ride the waves that they've sort of already created, but as I stated in the video, there is a little bit of skepticism when it comes to the actual capabilities that that program has. I think people can see that there are certain shortfalls that they're not focusing on, because if we get all the drones, we don't have the capabilities to actually integrate them into our force. But we've talked to the other Joint Force members, from Navy to SOCOM. We've gotten in contact with the FAA, 13 different universities throughout the US, Blue UAS for industry, and a couple other partners. But the problem is that China owns about 80% of the industry side. So getting parts that aren't manufactured in China is pretty difficult. So we've already talked to a lot of people, but we need to get buy-in from Replicator to sort of consolidate all of our efforts and all of our information gained.
And have you spoken with leaders at the Replicator program?
I believe one of our members is in contact with their lead.
Okay.
Dustin, do you want me to tee in, or?
Go for it, Mog.
I got you. Hey, so Mogford here. So yes, I've met with Chi out of Replicator. We may or may not have seen their rough draft process. There is a very real front end to that where, I mean, right now, let's be honest, it's like one guy running that show. And, you know, we have a bunch of innovators in here and people trying to get after stuff. So you can imagine what it's like to work on something by yourself. That's the very real scenario for one guy with so much press at the moment. So we are trying to, we've done kind of a soft pitch. We're waiting on that official one to try to tie into that front end of their process, so that we can help include people, and that will be more focused on outreach and helping with projects per se. I know Dustin also has a Korean military partner that they're working on. 3 weeks ago, I signed an MOU for SBIR 2. We're in a CR right now, so it's kind of waiting some funding. But, you know, once funding gets passed and, you know, potentially AFWorks will fund that, then we'll have 12 months of testing out drones for aircraft inspections on JBSA as a small experiment. A couple of us already got our Part 107s to be drone operators, so we're trying to, you know, kind of put our money where our mouth is and practice as we play and show that we're willing to do it too. And that we're willing to learn some of those hard lessons of trying to get that done so that we can share that information.
Sounds good. I don't want to hog the conversation, but we can follow up offline. What I would recommend is sharpening your results, your ask, and also your expected outcome. to make sure that it actually is memorable and can catch the ears and the eyes of the replicator team. So we can chat offline. Thank you. Mo, over back to you.
Sounds good. Yeah, that's perfect timing. And again, there's a lot of chat going on in the chat. Meanwhile, Dr. Eagle is coming up with hashtags, hashtag drone czar and the King Arthur. So there's a lot of good ideas floating around in here, and we'll have those breakout rooms open afterwards. So for now, we want to say thank you to our first 3 teams, Team 2, Pacific Blitzen, Team 1, Flying Lions, and Team 3, Skybound Problem Solvers. To our Zoom community, it is now time to vote on the People's Choice Award. So using the poll that we will open up here in a second, you will choose which team has proposed how to solve a real problem with a real solution, and if it has the wow factor. The poll is only going to be open for 2 minutes, so vote now and vote once. We will collect the results. There they are right in the middle of your screen. We will collect the results and announce the winner during the awards portion of the showcase. Now, teams 2 and 1 and 3 can rest easy until the awards portion. We will now transition to the second half of our presentation, which are our 3 live pitches. Right now, I'm delighted to introduce Team 5, Messenger Pigeon Posse, and I can say that they are super cool. Their topic was, how do we sustain ourselves and our allies in future conflict? They looked at alternative fuel, and today they're presenting Project Kyber. The team was coached by Paul Ellis and Laura Wilson. And again, if you home in on any questions, you can use the chat feature to ask them. Feather or not, you're ready. Messenger Pigeon Posse, the screen is yours.
Hello, everyone. My name is John Reeves, a member of the Messenger Pigeon Posse. Our team also includes Kat, Jeff, Shabri, and Zach, as well as our 2 coaches, Paul and Laura. We are very excited to be given the opportunity to capstone our Project Mercury experience by sharing Project Kyber with you today. As our small expeditionary units increase their demand for reliable and resilient mobile power, we believe we need to enhance our energy resiliency with emerging, accessible methanol fuel cell technology. By adopting this energy solution, we can provide our small teams with a more lightweight, diversified, and stable mobile energy solution rather than being solely dependent on heavy pack filled with lithium batteries. This video showcases why Project Kyber is the solution we need for the future fight to give freedom of action to our multi-capable airmen. Are we prepared for a future fight in the Indo-Pacific? Our area of responsibility is hallmarked by the tyranny of distance, and logistical issues regarding energy are of constant concern. Across Japan alone, there are over 14,000 islands, but only 400 are actually inhabited. In a perfect world, our teams across the Indo-Pacific will have all their energy needs met. However, in a peer-to-peer conflict, that perfect world simply does not exist. Power will be limited, conditions will be imperfect, and our small, tactical teams will be required to be self-sufficient for days at a time without resupply. Over this time, essential equipment will eventually die unless a large number of batteries are brought along for sustainment, encumbering our warfighters. That is where Project Kyber comes in. Project Kyber aims to lessen the burden of our operators by utilizing methanol fuel cell technology from Advent and SFC Energy to power their equipment and continue the mission without fail. Methanol fuel cells not only power their equipment, but it also lessens the weight burden of the warfighter. For example, a CCT's most important asset is their radio. Our methanol fuel cells can effectively reduce the weight carried for radio operation by 80%, replacing all but 1 battery with a methanol fuel cell while powering 3 days worth of radio capabilities. This also increases the amount of volume an operator can carry due to the space saved for batteries, or to simply lighten their load. These methanol fuel cells are capable of charging anything with a battery like laptops, ENVGs, satellite phones, and smartphones that are widely used by operators today. Not only can methanol fuel cells reduce weight and save space, they operate significantly cooler, unlike other fuel generators, and they operate silently, enabling our warfighters to continue their mission undetected. In today's wars, heat signature detecting drones via air and ground are widely used. Traditional generators, even when small, put our operators at risk. Not to mention, if for some reason methanol is not available, our Advent Honey Badger fuel cells can operate on windshield wiper fluid if needed. Project Kyber has not only sparked the interest of DLA Energy, PAC FA4, and the 320th Special Tactics Squadron, but Project Crate as well at the 187th Fighter Squadron Air National Guard Base Danley Field. Project Crate wants to test these fuel cells in the field, which solidifies that there's a vested interest in this technology within our Air Force. If Project Kyber were to receive just $300,000 in funding, we could test methanol fuel cells ranging in power from 50 watt-hours to 3,000 watt-hours with Project Crate and operators in PACAF, enabling us to gather data and further realize the full application and capability of this incredible technology. The future war within the Indo-Pacific is going to be an imperfect one. Energy sustainment is going to be difficult, and our operators will be pushing the energy capabilities of their equipment to the limit. They will need to be prepared for the future fight, but should not be worried about losing capabilities due to zeroing out their batteries. Project Kyber provides the versatility, reliability, and capability needed so our warfighters are powered, day or night, sunny or storming, enabling them to continue the mission without fail. So how did 4 months of research, interviews, and experimentation lead us to methanol fuel cells? It started with CSAF Brown's fight number 6, to sustain ourselves and allies in future conflict. After months of deliberation and research, we honed in on our high-quality target to cut the tether of traditional fuel by adopting emerging methanol fuel cells, providing reliable and lightweight power for expeditionary operations across the Indo-Pacific by 2025. Project Kyber is more than just proposing to adopt a technology solution. It calls on the DoD to break down the walls of Cold War-era single-fuel policies, currently restricting new alternative energy solution adoption, hindering innovation, and restricting our forces. To tackle this task, we have spent over 80 hours of research, conducting experiments across social media and virtual AI simulations, and consulted with 30 energy and alternative fuels leaders across the DoD, industry, academia, and foreign developers. Regarding the technology, methanol fuel cells offer incredible weight savings compared to standard lithium battery packs, are stable under a wide range of austere conditions, and offer the power output needed to sustain the growing demands of our net warriors. For example, depending on the radio model, this could result in an approximate weight reduction of 17 pounds and power the radio consistently for 104 hours. We believe the most mature methanol fuel cell solutions are offered by SFC Energy and Advent Technologies. While the energy sector is currently being inundated with many emerging alternate forms of energy solutions, we have found that this technology provides small teams far more autonomy compared to that of wind and solar options. So where are we today? We are continuing to elicit sponsors to validate our proposed technology adoption plan. We have recently pitched to PACAF A4 as well as DLA Energy. We have learned that their operations are still very much entangled within the lingering single fuel policy logistical chains, only focusing on JPA and diesel procurement and transportation. We are building relationships outside the Air Force with the 3rd Marine Expeditionary Forces in Okinawa, Japan, be the first mover in adopting this solution for the Marines, who remain in the field for long periods of time without resupply. We are continually looking to take steps further and get this technology into the warfighters' hands. As we stated earlier, tomorrow's peer-to-peer war will be unlike anything we've ever faced in the past. Your support will be the catalyst needed to ensure the success of this project and the sustainment of energy needs, allowing us to be ready for any future fight within the Indo-Pacific while ensuring our warfighters are not left isolated and in the dark. In 2017, when asked about the DoD's limitations with the single fuel policy, General Mattis summed it up best: unleash us from the tether of fuel to increase the readiness and reach of our forces. Methanol fuel cell technology is ready to be scaled and adopted to provide our small expeditionary teams a lightweight, diversified, reliable, and stable new energy solution to win the future fight. The legacy single fuel policy and its 30-year cycle of stifling energy innovation in the DoD need to be broken. Procurement officers are de-incentivized from adding new alternative fuel requirements because there is no logistical supply line to support them. And there is no supply line because there are no programs to support. If you're interested to help spark the catalyst of the new DoD energy innovation, please contact us using the QR code. Thank you so much.
Well done. Great work, Messenger Pigeon Posse. Make sure everybody starts locking down their windshield wiper fluid containers. It is time for the panel's comments and questions. Pistol, we're going to let you kick it off again, and I'll monitor time. Pistol, over to you.
Yeah, Pigeon Posse, this is a stellar presentation. I always have notes on presentations, and of course I have some, but that could be an offset. But this is a solid presentation. It really gave me the why. It gave me what you're going for. It convinced me that you've done a solid landscape analysis, like really getting out and seeing what is out there. Interestingly, I think you could go bigger here. I know you may have been scoped to this with your prompts for the cohort, but the tyranny of distance is a problem across the globe. We have multiple dilemmas in multiple AORs, and I don't think you need to just focus on the Indo-Pacific here. I also think you can be riding what moves here, in that, you know, we are trying to go more eco. We are trying to go, you know, in these greener directions. And so I would definitely have questions about, is this a greener solution? Or if it's not, that's something you definitely need to address. So I'd love to hear more about that when I wrap up my comments. I really, really hope that you are in touch with the ACE LOE that is dealing with the deployable units. If you are not, please reach out to me, because they are developing these, you know, these ACE like crates. And you mentioned them. I just don't know if you're in touch with those people, because that's a no-brainer for me. But the Marine Corps is where you need to be with this. So I'm glad to hear that. The Marine Corps prioritizes first and foremost, how can we make things easier on our guys on the ground? So the Marine Corps and Special Ops is where this is at. And I just think this is something you need to ferociously get demoed. So get a prototype, get it into the hands of a unit, because if this is as good as you're saying it is, and it's going to make life that much easier, then it just needs to be in their hands so they can see it. And then the rest should take care of itself on that front. So with the things I threw at you, you know, pick what you want to address. But yeah, I'm interested in, you know, go bigger. Think social good, you know, is this eco-friendly? Is this more stable? And then also just, you know, is there a possibility of you getting a demo? So we don't have enough time to cover all those. Pick the one that you want the most.
I'm going to go ahead and kick this over to Shabri.
Hi, can you hear me? Awesome. I just wanted to talk quickly about the sustainability aspect of it. So this slide is in our appendix, but it's the actual metrics of comparing methanol fuel cells to solar power, which is what we see more commonly amongst solutions in the DoD, adopting solar power, and then also diesel. So as you can see here, energy density is probably the biggest component. There's no way we can have alternative fuels compare to the energy density provided by diesel. I think that's why it's been used to this point. So methanol fuel cell is actually, they reach the highest level compared to any other alternative fuels. You can see solar power is really low, and they have a really high level of efficiency. So the amount of fuel that we put in gets the most energy back. So this is definitely a sustainability thing. When we talk about tracking the weather, we wanted to track the weather on that regard as well, like following where our policies are going in the Biden administration and just the global world order and how they're pushing towards these net carbon neutral or carbon positive frameworks and infrastructure. So that's definitely been a part of what we've been thinking about. I'll pass it on to John, though, to talk about who we've spoken to before in regards to ACE.
Yeah, so we've spoken to PACAF ACE as well as A4 about ACE concepts and everything. And the ACE realm is so new. It seems like there's still a lot of questions as to how those teams are going to be packaged and put together. We have gotten a little bit of information about what their energy needs are. And like these are small solutions, but there's a lot of stuff that you can power from those ACE teams, like some of their electronics, right? And so there are some things that we can support in the ACE concepts. The big power needs, like there are limitations to methanol, right? Like you're not going to power a tent city or anything like that, but these small teams it's definitely viable.
Okay, yeah, reach out to me because there's two people I want to get you in touch with on the ACE side, just to really close the loop, because when I left a year ago, they were finalizing some of these equipment packages, but I don't think they were like final. And then also I think I can get you some good Marine Corps POCs.
That'd be great. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. And I'll just add, with Army DevCom, they're finalizing testing now. And they said if any other services want to procure these devices, they can use their contract vehicles. So shouldn't be a problem either. But thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, so you got a good idea. I mean, yeah, sure, we're Air Force, but like just get it out there, get it to the right people. And then, like I said, if it works, it'll speak for itself and more people will adopt it. But yeah, you just need to prototype the heck out of this.
Nice connections. That's good. Thanks, Pistol. Are there any other panel members who have questions?
Yeah, again, if I might just coming back from my background experience and working with the CRG, and I think a lot of people have already mentioned this. It's still really new, although it shouldn't be. But I would say we're still in the development phase. Don't let it develop without the appropriate input. If you remember, back when we kicked this thing off, one of the things that I mentioned that I think your leaders, if they're listening to people out at the forward edge of their AOR should be listening to is that ACE is not one size fits all. And so if they're developing those packages, there may not be a standard package that we want to put together, especially on an AOR that's as broad as the Pacific. So this may be a great solution for packages in certain areas, but not in all. Again, I think you just need to talk to those thought leaders that are out in all corners of the DoD that are thinking through ACE.
Anybody want to address from the team or just taking it all in?
No, yeah, no, that's part of like why I apologize. That's part of why we're doing this, is to make those connections. Absolutely. We would love to have those names, because you're right. Not every ACE team is going to fit in a box, right? But we'll be able to support where we're needed, and address their energy concerns in any way possible for those teams that can use it.
And also, Zach Johnson, to your point too, if you use the QR code that was at the end of the presentation, Pauline, if we can put that, there we go. My understanding is that there's a forum and then you can drop your email address in there. That's another way to stay in contact with you guys. Is that correct? Team Messenger Pigeon Posse?
Yes, that QR code, if you scan that QR code, you'll be able to get provide your contact information to us directly.
Awesome. Great. Panel members, we have time for one more question. If there's any other questions from the panel members.
Yeah, I'd like to jump in here. I agree with Pistol. This is a really solid presentation and you've done your homework. But I want to just point out a couple things. Facts don't change people's minds. We see this when we go to Congress and we talk about things. Experiences and experiments change people's minds. So the whole idea of getting to prototype is key here. And you can see this, after the Ukraine, these kinds of solutions started becoming more in bounds, right? But I'm questioning the approach, the internal approach, where you go around passing the tin cup for money, because you have all the barriers for doing this. I want to put something in perspective for everyone on this chat. When you went to dual use, the whole idea is you put about $2 billion on the table. The turn rate on a yearly basis in Silicon Valley for VC money is $700 billion. You're not even at the adult table. One of the things you should really be thinking about is, instead of driving this from the inside out, drive it from the outside in. There's an enormous amount of money in the energy space right now. And this is, remember, I stand between these three, universes, between universities, big research universities, between the tech economy, between the military. What's interesting to me is there's all this money and trajectory towards this technology. What they're looking for is not money. They're looking for proof of concept. And nobody has a better brand than the Air Force does. So to me, I would actually turn your strategy on its head and say, rather than passing the tin cup internally, can you get on the plane from the outside in from these tech companies who are looking to be providers for the military, use their money to basically support this thing and to get to proof of concept. So part of innovation isn't just the technology and how you're going to use it. It's how you're going to fund it. How are you actually going to get the distribution on this thing? So I love the idea. Great presentation. I think you might have a better shot if you turn it inside out.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, Dr. DeGraff. Bravo, Team 5 will wrap it up for now. Again, we'll have the chat open and the breakout rooms open. We're going to now give up the time to Team 4 on the fly with Project CMET, Combat Mobile Equipment Team. This is our most diverse team, including members from the uniformed and civil service U.S. Air Force, Civil Air Patrol, and Janina Strauch-Schelius of the German Air Force, stationed at Aircom in Ramstein, Germany. They were coached by Chris Lopez. Ladies and gentlemen, Team 4.
Sam, you are muted, my friend.
Share sound.
Okay, finally got unmuted. I'm going to start over again. Sorry, I was clicking the button, but the mute wasn't coming up the way I wanted. So starting over.
Did you know that Russian military capabilities have evolved to a point where every NATO air base in Europe is now within the potential range of precision missile attacks? This development marks a significant shift in the risk to NATO service members in the region. The ability to hold our human capital at risk highlights the urgent need for NATO to reassess its defense strategies and present a more agile force to preserve lives. To counter this, Agile Combat Employment, ACE, is pivotal. It reduces reliance on large bases in favor of a flexible hub and spoke system, allowing rapid dispersion to Spartan locations. However, this stretches our logistics capabilities. As Lieutenant Colonel Sampson of the 603rd Air and Space Operations Center rightly points out, the challenge is logistics. Getting the right equipment to the right place at the right time is more critical than ever.
This is where the Combat Mobile Equipment Team CMET comes into play. These quickly deployed teams with the associated equipment are not just support units. They are lifelines, providing maintenance, communication, and shelter support on the fly. Our logistics supply trailers, LSTs, are the backbone of this operation. Picture a race car trailer, but for military logistics. These trailers are designed to deliver essential supplies with unmatched speed and efficiency, acting as a strategic pit stop for our forces. From rapid deployment to strategic resupply, the LST is a game changer. CMETs, with the support of LSTs, can deploy to austere locations for quick aircraft fixes, significantly reducing downtime. The ability to provide immediate, smaller scale repairs is vital for operational continuity. The CMET will be in constant communication with the major supply and maintenance hubs to diagnose more complicated issues and request additional manpower and/or equipment if needed. We propose collaborating with the 603rd Air and Space Operations Center and NATO to test this concept during a NATO exercise in Germany. This initiative will primarily benefit the NATO Air and Space Operations Centers and the European Theater Unit Commanders, with additional decision space during operations under attack in the European theater. Funding CMET with their supporting LSTs is not just an investment in equipment, it's an investment in our strategic adaptability and the safety of our servicemen and women. It's about ensuring we stay one step ahead in the increasingly complex global theater.
"12 weeks ago, we embarked on an exhilarating journey. We came from around the world to converge in Montgomery, not just to learn, but to transform ourselves into pioneering innovators. From day one, we were immersed in a whirlwind of creativity, surrounded by sticky notes, navigating mural boards, and embracing prismatic thinking. Our time in Montgomery was not just about innovation. It was also a cultural exchange. We had the unique opportunity to introduce our German teammate to the rich, complex tapestry of American South, its triumphs and tribulations, its inspiring moments, and its challenging histories. Throughout this process, our team, a mosaic of diverse backgrounds, quickly discovered the power of our collective perspectives. We harnessed these differences to unleash a torrent of ideas, addressing the challenge before us. Sure, there were moments when the deluge of creativity seemed overwhelming, leading us momentarily off track, but it was this diversity, this fusion of thoughts and experiences that ultimately guided us back, stronger and more focused. Today, we stand before you united and proud, ready to present not just a solution, but a game changer for future ACE operations. Combat Mobile Equipment Teams. This concept is a culmination of our journey, a testament to what can be achieved when diverse minds collaborate towards a common goal. Why Combat Mobile Equipment Teams? Well, we recognize the vulnerability of our European bases to missile attacks. This vulnerability stems from several factors: enhanced satellites reconnaissance, improved missile range and accuracy, increased lethality, and the sheer number of missiles capable of reaching these bases. The fixed runways, some dating back to World War II, are particularly susceptible, not only to missile attacks, but also to espionage and ground attacks. Relocating equipment and personnel quickly enough to evade enemy targeting is a significant challenge. Furthermore, these large airfields are exposed to human intelligence efforts, which can identify targets and assess battle damage. Given these risks, aircraft are safer in the air than on the ground during combat operations. Quick airborne deployment is essential to minimize vulnerability. However, dispersing to smaller locations strains our logistics, making it crucial to efficiently allocate resources. The right equipment must reach the right place at the right time, which is where combat mobile equipment teams become vital. Combat mobile equipment teams are designed to rapidly restore aircraft to operational status, achieving this in hours rather than days. Composed of transient alert maintainers, these teams are adept at handling various types of aircraft. They are integrated by design, including host country members who assist with local navigation, law enforcement coordination, base access, and local procurement as needed. Each team is equipped with one or more logistics supply trailers, LSTs, which contain all necessary equipment, including combat and maintenance gears. These LSTs are adaptable based on specific requirements such as terrain, base location, and aircraft type. Janina, our NATO member, will provide further insights into the LSTs.
Hey, the trailer was constructed by the Bruder Company, whose headquarters are in Australia. The Bruder Company is already working with the Australian military. The model you see on the slides is a basic model for the civilian market and can be adapted to the customer's wishes and needs. The basic model costs $200,000. The NATO headquarters in Ramstein already have the LST on their wish list, and we hope that they can order at least 30 of them. To you.
CMET, Innovation for Dispersed Operation of the Future. Thanks for your consideration, and we're ready to answer any questions.
Awesome. Thanks, Team 4. Over to our panelists, General Tuck. I will let you toss in the first question for Team 4.
Hey, this is pretty exciting stuff, just so you know. There's so many places to take this conversation because in the agile combat employment arena, it fits perfectly from the video presentation through walking through the CMET complement and the logistics supply trailers. I'll go back to General Sloane's comment to the previous panel when he talked about contingency response groups. These are sized to go out today, 45 to 60 day in certain group elements into very austere locations and generate combat capability for the geographic commanders. The question I have for the group is, as you look to build this out from a CMET to an LST perspective, did you get a chance to take a look at what the Expeditionary Center is doing in Air Mobility Command that has the current mission, if you will, to stand up elements like this, but not sized properly for an agile combat employment environment? It's a journey I think they're going through to be able to present forces in a way that can get after getting into places that can open very quickly and not to include, the road surfaces that were shown in the video, which are exciting. And the fact that you got the most diverse group with stakeholders that clearly address the need for allies and partners that's described in the National Defense Strategy is impressive because it will open doors So the first question I have is, you know, there is a way potentially, just want to know if the group has reached out to and kind of gotten a view of inside the Expeditionary Center, the deployment center there. And then secondly, from a NATO perspective, when it comes to military mobility, it's very difficult to move within borders or outside of borders of countries. If you're trying to do something expeditionary that's 2 or 3 countries over, you know, is anyone taking a look at what it would take? I mean, dip clearances, it might take 4 or 5 days to get across the border to be able to then be stopped by another border. Have you all just taken a look at what it might mean from a speed perspective to be able to take these things over the road, if you will, in peacetime, where countries may kind of slow down the mobility aspect of this? And then there is a NATO committee, the logistics committee, that could actually help open doors for this capability in the logistics council that could, you know, reach out to the 31 now NATO countries that can actually help answer that question for you if you've looked at it and found a roadblock. So 2 questions. I'll turn it over to the team, but thanks for a great job.
Well, I'll answer the first one, then I'll hand it over to Yanina if she has any insight based upon her conversations with her NATO brethren. The first part is, yes, working with the 603rd, we talked about having the difficulty they have a previous exercise of moving equipment around, like you said. And that's one of the reasons why we wanted to make sure the teams themselves are already integrated. And that's the reason that's to try to get us through the borders. If the teams themselves had people on the team that can get them through the borders, especially if, let's say, we're closing down and landing on a runway, not only have to get through the border, we're might have to get through the host team's security, which could be firemen or policemen versus their military. And so that's why we wanted to have the teams themselves integrated to help smooth out some of those issues. The second part you asked about the Expeditionary Center, we did not particularly talk to them. Instead, we talked to the ACE capability development teams, which are talking to the different MAGCOMs and talking to them. They mentioned not being able to execute properly, even within our own country, within the US, doing just exercises, getting equipment there. So just going through states sometimes poses a problem. So we talked to them about that, but I have not talked to the expeditionary team. That's something that's going directly to that MAGCOM is on our list. I'll hand it over to Yanina if you have anything to add.
Not much more, but only can add that the NATO is planning to the ACE, and they're planning to buy some equipment, and they really love this LST, and they really want to order this because they recognize that you need to be speed up to bring the right equipment to the right place to the right time, and they recognize that you need some space for the people to rest, to eat. So if not, you have not enough power to maintain the airplane. So that's all I can say.
I really appreciate the answers. They're really great. And for the first one, yeah, it's a little bit more strategic. When you're talking about Europe specifically, you're looking at organic capability, where the CMED and LST will be used to employ the assets currently, in this case at least, looking through the command and control structure of the 603rd. So it would be their wings or their elements moving out. The CRG might just provide another lens in terms of how they do this with strategic aircraft, and just maybe open up another lens of how you could do it. And then, Yanina, if there is a conversation that you all would like to have where we can get this group an audience with the logistics committee, that is run at least one day of it when they meet, annually in Brussels, is run from the Joint Staff J4, and they are an active participant, and we can absolutely get you an audience with him, and then he can take that as an agenda item to say, hey, if you're gonna do something from an exercise perspective, and we need to have these vehicles demonstrate the capability, the NATO Logistics Committee might be able to open a few doors working with the different governments outside of Germany, for instance, if you wanted to deploy this asset over the ground to say out to Poland. I know that those routes have already been established, but if you're going to go someplace else, they can actually help, and I'd be happy to do that with the team.
Thank you, sir.
That's fantastic. Great connections. Pistol, I saw you had your hand raised or you're waving at me, but do you have a question for the team?
So I know we're short on time. Yeah, I think we kind of danced around it here. I do not think the 603rd is the good focal point here. They're a C2 element. They don't have purchasing power. They can be an advocate for you, but they are not your customer. So as you look at NATO, as they enter, a lot of NATO countries are upping their capabilities. They need new capabilities. I think NATO is a much better partner for you here. And if you want to talk more about it, feel free to reach out. But obviously you have a great asset on your team. But yeah, I think you need to get away from the 603rd on this one.
Copy, thanks.
Good conversations and good connections. And again, Team 4, there are some questions and comments also and connections in the chat. So we will move on from Team 4. Great job. Our final pitch will be from Team 6, Swift Justice. Now, this was the team that was assembled as a unique experiment by Colonel Steve Marshall, PACAF Chief of International Affairs. And again, this is the team that started, they did their jumpstart in Singapore alongside the Singapore Air Force's 13 teams. Then they folded into Cohort 11 during the acceleration phase. They are ready to present their progress with R2JP, raised to jet power, agile solar generator superpower. They were coached by Brent Harland and Matt Glinsky. Ladies and gentlemen, Team 6.
Hello, everyone. I'm Stacy, proudly representing Team 6, Swift Justice, alongside my teammates, Cameron, Jet, Manny, and Ray. Throughout our journey, we've been coached by Steve, Brent, and Matt, and received invaluable support from the Project Mercury staff, as well as our innovator in residence, Daryl. Embracing prismatic thinking, our primary focus has revolved around exploring viable alternate energy sources tailored for agile combat employment in the Pacific Theater. Now, on to Manny in Guam and Cameron in Okinawa, who will be our presenters today.
I want to take you back to May 24th, 2023, when Typhoon Mawar, a Category 4 storm with winds of 140 miles per hour, bore down on Andersen Air Force Base, Guam. And as a member of the 36th Contingency Response Group, I stood alongside my civil engineer teammates, bracing for an 18-hour onslaught. When the chaos subsided, power grids were crippled, communication lines severed, clean water scarce, and medical services compromised. In the eye of catastrophe, our lifeline, the cell towers, teetered on the brink, sustained only by backup generators with a mere 3 days worth of fuel keeping us connected to each other. The main power grid's failure left us solely reliant on fuel generators to sustain critical infrastructure and essential services. Our team deployed 78 generators across the base and island to power crucial systems and humanitarian aid. However, the reliance on generators came with a significant issue. They needed a constant and substantial supply of fuel, expending $190,000 in fuel costs a day. We organized teams working in shifts to refuel generators around the clock to ensure their continuous operation. We were burdened with the task of constantly refueling generators instead of focusing on rescue and relief efforts.
This scenario underscores the Air Force's critical need for self-sustaining power solutions in the Pacific Theater, not only during disaster relief, but also to support agile combat employment. Just like a natural disaster, our adversaries have the capability to cripple our most vital infrastructure at strategic locations around the globe. Additionally, ACE demands operational independence in austere locations without access to traditional logistics, highlighting our need to stay away from fuel supply chains and generate air power anywhere in the world, anytime we want.
Our team's answer to this critical need is an agile, solar fabric-based 30 kilowatt generator we call Raise to Jet Power, or R2JP. Unlike traditional generators, we can eliminate the fuel supply chain entirely, saving $2,400 per day per generator. Each unit costs $330,000 and is recouped in 5 months of use, just in fuel costs alone. Equipped with battery storage, it delivers an uninterrupted 90 kilowatt hours of power on top of the 25 kilowatt hour constant solar energy. Rigorous testing has showcased its potential. At Joint Base Elmendorf-Richardson in Alaska, it sustained an off-grid medical tent for a 14-day exercise. During Mobility Guardian 2023, the Air Force's premier multinational mobility exercise, it easily generated the 1.2 kilowatts needed to power a life-sustaining water purification system. Lastly, a prototype was fielded by the 270th Air Traffic Control Squadron for a completely off-grid agile combat employment mission tower, which helped maintain communications during winter months, with the only upkeep of clearing the solar fabric during heavy snow periods. Imagine if Manny and his team had been equipped with their solar generator. The impact would have been transformative. Instead of devoting the majority of their focus on refueling 78 generators, they could have efficiently powered their vital construction tools, rapidly cleared debris, and maintained seamless communication networks. Medical facilities would have remained constantly powered, essential equipment operating seamlessly, all powered by Raise to Jet Power, a reliable energy source, untethered from the constraints of fuel dependency. If our solar generator had been in Guam during these chaotic moments, it would have been a ray of hope for Manny's team during emergency responders. It would have let my team handle challenges quicker and efficiently.
So how did we get here? Well, our journey began working alongside our Republic of Singapore Air Force teammates in July during our jumpstart. We ideated and redefined our many concepts. Additionally, we connected with our industry leaders to watch the weather, looking at multiple forms of energy from hydrogen, thermal, space, waves, and of course, solar, where we connected with our industry partner Pavilion to develop this solar capability, upscaling the current solar fabric tech they introduced to the military to push more power and designed to be more agile. Moreover, as early as August, we began seeking our stakeholders, spreading the word of our initiative to AMC, ACC, and JASDEF leaders, with both AMC and ACC committing to buying a prototype. So far, our team has secured $1.8 million, receiving funding from PACAF Commander and our current Chief of Staff, General Alvin. Lastly, while the iron is still hot, we're also pursuing an additional $1.9 million in TAC-5 funding from ARFL. Our team has been hustling, taking additional shots on goal by pursuing injections into Air Force Spark Tank and half A4's Ether Sprint to raise awareness, and where we recently were recognized as semifinalists for the Tesseract Ether Sprint.
Here's our ask. We need Project Mercury's support to amplify awareness through its public affairs channels and connections to the Vice Chief of Staff. Our aim is for Air Force Material Command, Air Mobility Command, Air Combat Command, or Air Force AFSOC to endorse our project, with Air Force-wide awareness and scaling across both PACAF and USAFE theaters. With your backing, we can rapidly scale this technology by creating an NSN and UTC for it, aligning with General Alvin's vision to fortify bases across the Pacific and beyond. Manny's experience during the typhoon and Team Swift Justice's determination to support our warfighters underscores the urgent need for Raise to Jet Power at critical bases across the Pacific theater. Your pivotal support makes this technology accessible where it's needed most, putting the power back in air power. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Team 6. General Sloane, you get to present the first question to Team 6.
Hey, sir, we're not getting anything on your mic.
Can you hear me?
That mute button is the devil.
We've got you
Can
now.
you hear me?
Go ahead.
Okay. Hey, great presentation. And the thing that really inspires me is the fact that you've already gone out there and kind of tested in a way that inspired an initial investment. The question that I would have is kind of goes back to what Jeff DeGraff said a couple of presentations ago, and it is there's industry that is out there doing this, and as you look and take a look at what the warfighter needs, and you look at and you ask, hey, what is the requirement? How do you blend that with the massive amount of innovation that's already taken place in that sector of energy development? And I'm just trying to make sure that you are looking through what is out there, what is already being funded, and how you can bring that quickly at cost and at scale. Over.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate the question. Yes, I agree. Industry is doing a lot in this, and as we talked about, we went through a lot of different energy sources before we ended up hitting on solar. That being said, yeah, even in the solar realm, there's a lot going on. Being a PACAF team, taking people out of the office full time, we didn't have much of a choice other than to deliver something that could be ready as soon as possible. And so, yes, this innovation kind of does sit on the edge of maybe where industry's at, but we're seeing that we kind of provide this great kind of lens to be able to push it into the Air Force, kind of putting it on the front lines, running these experiments, and just really making sure we can deliver this capability. We've kind of, as you've seen, we've had the success throughout PACAF, and now we're talking about, okay, how can we get an OT and EMAGCOM to make this a requirement, get a 1067, and make this something that's sustained. I hope that answered your question, sir. I'll pass it over to Jed if he has something else to add.
Yeah, just so we've already looked at the power requirements, and this is almost a one-for-one swap that's easily that easily replaces, if not it bolsters the 30 kilowatt generators that our teams would be deploying with to these contingency locations. We actually just hosted an ACE exercise on Monday, and it's a very small package that you're able to send. So being able to meet the requirements and to be able to ship it with the team is kind of one of our major focuses.
Hey, thanks. And I'll just get off the stage by recommending one thing. I think there's tremendous work that's been done out here, and obviously being closely tied to Anderson and watching what happens when a disaster rolls through like that, and your need to be able to support the not just the base, but the local population. There is an amazing opportunity to talk about the dual use application here. And what I've seen is we talk a lot of times about how much equipment we have that just languishes in WRM because it's never used. The ability to take something that we're putting out there as a concept for what I say is an imperative warfighting concept as we talk about ACE, not just in the Pacific Theater, but all over, but really highlight how if we invest in this technology, in this concept specifically, the dual use applications and the cost benefit to that. Over.
Thanks, sir. I appreciate that. Actually, our team is talking to CNMI and looking at kind of doing a dual use technology, because there's been requests, as you're probably well aware of, to help out with their clean water and to have this in case of a hatter. And so exactly, we don't want this to sit in the unofficial Anderson boneyard. We hope to just partner and be able to use this constantly and keep it updated. Thank you.
This is great. And of course, I just realized that it's like tomorrow morning for you guys over there. So in the interest of letting you have your some of your time back, thank you for getting up so early. What we're going to do now is we have a lot of questions that are still coming through the chat, and we will have the breakout rooms open, but we're going to kick the judges over to deliberate. So again, keep the questions in the chat coming up. I want to say bravo to Team 6. Appreciate that. And again, thank you for getting up so early or staying up so late. And thank all the teams for these excellent pitches. We appreciate all the great chatter in the chat. There's great questions coming up there. There are some hashtags that probably should not be trending, like Scary Poppins, thanks to Ethan Eagle and Zach Johnson, but it is what it is. And speaking of breakout rooms that will be available afterwards, our panel members will now head to the panel member breakout room for snacks and drinks and award deliberations. So esteemed panel members, you should see a button at the bottom of your screen to join the breakout room. And as they are departing, while our panelists deliberate, we will have the distinct pleasure of welcoming back 2 alumni, Colonel Andrew Adamczyk and Senior Master Sergeant Dr. Craig Bying, to share what they've taken from Project Mercury back into the Air Force. They will be joined by Dr. Ethan Eagle, who is the head coach of multiple Project Mercury cohorts and workshops. We're going to let them go all rogue and have a fireside chat. And if you have any questions while they're talking, throw them into the Zoom chat. Ethan, over to you.
Howdy, Craig. I see Andrew A. also hopefully coming up on video any moment. We have a couple of questions, and so the different regions. So really just wanted to offer you a chance to introduce yourselves to our audience. You're both Project Mercury alumni and Aim High alumni. And so just a couple of words about where you've gone since graduating from the program as a way to kick us off, and then we'll jump into some of the other operational focus areas. So we'll maybe start with Craig and then jump over to you, Andrew.
Thank you, and good afternoon, everyone. Craig, go ahead.
Hi. So I started working with Project Mercury about 2 years ago. I went through the cohort, had a great team, and I wasn't really sure what I was going to get out of it, honestly, when I started. And I'll say that I have interacted with my team, with the cohort. I've coached a couple cohorts, and it's just a great alumni network. There are people that I've been interacting with for years because of Project Mercury. And then there's folks that I haven't seen in a while, and then all of a sudden they come back and we work on something. So I would say use your network now, because you have a great group of people that are all really dedicated to innovation. They all have unique perspectives. They all have unique positions, and just leverage that as much as you can, because that's honestly what I've been doing since I finished the program.
Great, and Craig is also the director of AFWorks Fellowships. So if you are looking at the AFWorks Fellowship recruiting deadline, I think the fellowship starts next year, early January, but definitely head over there. And Craig is your man if you want to learn more about that. Andrew, over to you.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for the invite. It is a distinct pleasure to be here amongst friends and colleagues. So my journey started about 2.5 years ago. Upon graduation, I had both the drive and desire, and then somebody asked me to coach, and it was a great experience. I coached 2 Mercury teams, and that was a tremendous experience because I was able to learn as I was teaching and coaching, and reinforce all the principles that the course offers you first go around. Subsequently, I took an assignment to Europe, to Poland here last May. So last 6 or 7 months, I've been in Poland as part of the United States Army Garrison Poland, a very historic assignment as we just stood up the garrison itself this April. So I am able to pave the way for the Army here as our latest garrison and apply some of the lessons learned. But most importantly, Greg, you took my thunder here by saying the network is what really keeps giving back to me, and I try to give back to the network and to the enterprise as much as I can. Whenever I have a question or I have a challenge that I don't know what to do with, I have friends and colleagues within NATO countries, and they reach back with the Air Force, the Army, even the Navy is what keeps this this relationship and this enterprise going. So thank you again, and please continue adding on to the network. So back to you, Ethan.
Yeah, so there's we're graduating another cohort here, so excited to continue that community. And Andrew and Craig, you both recently got pulled into some of that community connection. I know, Andrew, you met up with Colonel Barnes out in Poland, and Craig, you were part of a forward team that Mercury wrangled to help support the efforts of Task Force 99. So Andrew, I wanted to kind of start with you first, but just, this is a softball question. How is innovation changing the nature of conflict as you're watching things unveilop in the European theater, and then Craig kind of in that Middle East and North Africa with the efforts of Task Force 99? Andrew, we'll start with you.
Hey, Ethan, that is a very timely question, as we are all watching what has been unfolding in Ukraine, and the conflict in Ukraine underscores the imperative for militaries to evolve beyond traditional frameworks. Teaches us to start looking at the need for transformation, and not just transformation of the equipment, because frequently what I'm witnessing is when people are talking about transportation, they're talking about, hey, I need this next new best tank money can buy. But what they frequently forget is, okay, so you get the piece of hardware, but are you investing equally enough to modernize your leadership or your human element that's going to operate that piece of equipment? So this is an ongoing conversation here in Europe, as we again are continuously learning from the conflict to the east. Those lessons learned are enabling the militaries and the leaders to revisit not just hardware acquisitions, but human capital acquisitions. And they're realizing that the equal amount of investment needs to be applied against the human capital. So we have individuals who have this skill set to be able to deal with those challenges as they are developing here in Europe. So back to you.
No, yeah, Andrew, I mean, I love that. And just the number of times I talked to another, we take the Mercury workshops on the road, and it's clear to me that there are some urgent needs for adaptation. And then something happens, and it's like, man, wouldn't it have been good if that group had training 6 or 12 or 18 months ago, and they were practicing this stuff instead of like, we wait for the crisis and then try and apply the treatment. And so how to be a little bit, and Jeff DeGraff often says, we get in the reactive position, and that's a place of a kind of crisis response, and innovators are trying to think about that proactive stance. How do you lean in, kind of stay in the 3-point or ready position? You can move and be adaptable in different directions, but that requires, the training. Few and far between are the folks that sort of rise to the occasion, and instead, right, it's much more often we fall to the level of our training, or we fall to the level of our readiness. So I really do appreciate the folks that are investing the time and energy, going above and beyond, right? A lot of the Mercury folks are doing additional, right? This is a volunteer additional duty. And so really it's incredible, the community and commitment that I see among the folks that are going through these processes and these trainings. And that's just incredible. Craig, what about you? What are you seeing as you've stepped into the AFWorks fellowship role, and then with your recent trip out to the Middle East? Do you see any specific examples about how innovation is changing the nature of the current conflict?
Yeah, of course. Andrew is spot on. I agree with everything he said, and he kind of took some of my notes away from me. I think that conflict ultimately is going to be decided by who can react faster when an issue comes up. Everybody has a plan until you get punched in the face, right? So what I'm seeing with innovation, especially with Task Force 99, people that are on the front line trying to get something to the warfighter, is that innovation is adapting. And it's not something that is just sitting in a classroom or, you know, something that exists only for itself. I think that we're at the point in the Air Force where people are actively innovating for a customer. And the big thing that I see with people that are in this space now is they're really concerned about the end user, which is super important for innovation, obviously, but I think that there was a learning curve with the Air Force where we were just innovating to innovate. And now we've turned a corner and it's getting much more effective. And as far as the fellowship goes, I was thinking about this before the meeting today. I've seen probably 350 or 400 people come through the fellowship, and they all have a different innovation genome, and they all have a different way that they're looking at the fellowship. However, anybody can be successful in this space so long as you're willing to adapt and collaborate. I think that you can be the smartest person in the room, but if you're not able to communicate with others and you're unwilling to adapt and maybe change your thought process, you're going to have a really hard time in this space. But if you're a team player, if you're willing to try something new, if you're willing to learn, you will be successful. So those are the people that I see staying in this space for the long term. And even just looking at this meeting, I recognize so many names. So if you haven't seen me in a while, please send me an email because I would love to catch up. And it's just awesome being here and just seeing so many faces that I haven't seen in months or years. So hi, everybody. It's awesome.
Yeah, Craig, thanks so much for that. It reminds me of an aphorism I've shared in Mercury cohorts. My grandfather taught me there are two kinds of people, those who are humble and those who are about to be. And I think that innovation space, right, really thrives on the humble. You know, you might be the smartest person in the room, but if you're trying to prove that, you're probably the wrong type of innovator. If you want to contribute and you want to learn from other people, right, it's really that, are you going to learn lessons the hard way, or are you going to learn lessons the proactive way? And that's kind of the nature of changing your mindset around this. That's really important. I want to also ask a question, maybe Craig from your lens at AFWorks, and then Andrew kind of out in Poland. Are you seeing any new news, right? We talk in the Mercury language about watching the weather. Where are there other efforts to build out the innovation ecosystem? What are you seeing that tends to be working well that alumni of the Mercury effort might, look to next in order to look for support for Project Next?
I think to stay in this space, it's really important to just keep swimming and stay engaged in something. I always see people that are asking, how can I get a job in this, or how can I get a billet? And honestly, for enlisted, it's really tough to get a full-time innovation job. 9 Eyes or something that's coming on board. I'm happy to talk to anybody about this stuff, but it is possible to make this part of your career lifestyle. And I've seen people who maybe on paper, they're not in an innovation slot, but they're doing amazing things because their leadership recognizes the value that they're bringing. So if I was going to articulate watching the weather, a change in the Air Force for the better, is that leadership is recognizing if there's an airman who can bring value to the Air Force, we're going to let them go do that either part-time, or we're just going to let them go completely. So if you're interested in AI, for example, and you can add value beyond your unit, find a spot to do that. And I would say if you can really articulate what you're doing, what your plan is, where your value is, they're probably going to let you do that. And that's something that I haven't seen when I started my career 10 years ago. It was you do your job, that's it. Now, if you can do something and collaborate beyond your unit, they might just let you go. And I've seen that, and I can help people with that too. That's something that we do in the fellowship, honestly, is when people are done, they'll stay in a project somehow.
Yeah, Craig, you mentioned AI, so I would be remiss if I didn't drop a link to the MIT AI accelerator for the Department of Air Force. But absolutely, there are many, many ways to stay involved, and the Mercury principle of sort of self-authorizing behavior is really what you captured for me. Tell somebody else what you want to do. That's your high-quality target, and a lot of the leaders are recognizing that that is a way to keep talent around. So let's definitely lean into that and make space for everybody who wants to do great stuff. Andrew, what about you? What are you seeing building out the innovation ecosystem?
So, Ethan, what I am happy to share, obviously a limited experience, but I have come across numerous NATO partners here, and I'm witnessing NATO partner nations are successfully innovating to tackle national challenges. Their independent national innovation, however, sometimes has a varied degree of scale, experience, and I don't think they have the depth as we are teaching and coaching as far as the network is concerned. But again, I'm not an expert here. They're trying to sync and harmonize their efforts with other institutions across the nations here in NATO. And obviously, good thing is we're a part of NATO, and we're part of that. So I think the new engine of growth here for institutions of NATO, like the Defense Innovation Accelerator for North Atlantic called Diana, it has a great success in working with innovators across NATO alliance to help solve many existing defense and security challenges. Again, we're a part of NATO. Those projects have a reach back to the United States and to many ecosystems. But what I'm not hearing is that education piece. So you mentioned Johnny was here a couple of weeks ago. And again, that's the power of the network. He reaches out to me, and I was able to move some things around. And him and I went to a Army conference, and we're able to talk about Project Mercury. And I tell you what, it was a hit. So many people, I can get a cup of coffee on the break because people are coming up. Hey, what's Project Mercury? How are you making investment in your human resource? What are you doing? What is your program? Is it just something that you do once? And how do you employ the graduates? How do you? And so when Johnny and I were able to demonstrate the well thought of program where you teach one, when you do one, when you go on becoming a coach and a master coach, and the program just sustains itself. That resonated with our old allies in Great Britain, spent a significant amount of time with our British partners, and they were sharing. They have had some success with investments in human capital, but oftentimes those programs are sunset because they don't have legs to stand on. The person that develops moves on, and so they were very, very impressive. And I suspect our work here in Europe is just beginning, and our European partners are very, very impressed, and I think they have an appetite to get a bite of Project Mercury. So my hope is that I can continue to advocate for the program and advocate for our NATO partners to get on board and be part of our project. So the work must go on and continue. And I am also very encouraged that we're having more and more students from our NATO country partners. One of the cohorts that I was coaching was at Cohort 5. We had a partner from NATO, and it was a tremendous success because our students, our Air Force people were able to see a different perspective. And that's powerful. So we need to have them part of the project, and we need to learn from them just as much as they need to learn from us. Back to you, Ethan.
Yeah, so please, Andrew, take a look in the chat from Jeroen, the NATO assistant coach. We're bringing 2 coaches back to cohort 12 from the NATO Alliance that followed up for that cohort 5 member, Serge Zadepo, that you mentioned. We brought a whole team from NATO through the Mercury process, and NATO at the ACT Innovation Hub has reached out to Mercury to help bring that curriculum to the NATO Alliance as well. You've all mentioned this now, and I'm going to kind of hold your feet to the fire. You talked about leveraging the network in order to accomplish something. And so as we graduate this next group of innovators, can you just give them a little bit of encouragement? What is the how-to? How do you reach back out? What is the project next? You finish Mercury kind of, I think, a little bit exhausted. It's very intellectually taxing to develop a totally new skill set. But if you don't practice it, guess what? It atrophies. So that idea of staying engaged, Craig, and Andrew, of like coming back as a coach, even if you're not kind of stepping into that maximum level of Mercury engagement, what's a simple thing to keep engaged in the network, or to build the team around you using these principles to just make a little bit more change happen in the Air Force? Andrew, and then back over to Craig, and I think then we'll be out of time.
So, hey, this is a fantastic question because, there's only so many hours in a day. And how do we do more with less? Well, you have to say no to something. So I quite frequently have to say no to riding a bicycle, to jump on a call, or I'm seeing an interesting cohort, and I can just listen. I can just listen and learn from that. Sometimes I get a call because I am the guy that's already here, and my network's quite unique. So I find the time to reconnect. Day like today, everybody's busy, but take the time. It's half an hour, 45 minutes. It's giving back. So for me, it's how can I give back? But as I'm giving back, the 30 minutes that I'm spending here, I'm getting 90 minutes worth of stuff in return. So and the network keeps growing. Also, it keeps me fresh. So I have professional development hour with my team on Friday, and guess what I'm going to talk about? I'm going to talk about Project Mercury now because we just connected and it's fresh. It's on top of the list of things to do. So find the time. It's not an easy thing to do, but it is very rewarding, and it will help you day to day, but it will also help you to expand and to learn new things. So I encourage you to stay connected, and whenever you get an email from Ethan, just answer it. It may take you 3 or 4 days like it does me, but I still do answer it, and it is a tremendous privilege to be part of this team. So back to you, Ethan. Thank you.
Craig, what about you? Thoughts on keeping the fires lit?
Yeah, I would just say, I remember graduating Mercury, and yeah, it's a big commitment. You've been doing it for a couple months. You're going to feel like you have a lot of time back when it's over. So use that time that you had, just keep that going in your schedule. And if you don't have it, it sounds silly, but create a LinkedIn. That is where I found so much value. And I'll tell you, I've had chiefs ask me about certain people for programs, and the first thing they do is go to their LinkedIn. They don't even look at their military stuff anymore, because there's so much collaboration that you're doing with different organizations that expand beyond the DAF, that you need something like LinkedIn. And what I do is, when I see an opportunity, I'll just put in for it. I have no idea how many things that I've applied for or connections that I've made. And some of them bear fruit and they're amazing. Other ones maybe not so successful, or just because of timing. But then later on, you meet up with the same people. So even the thing that's in the chat, for example, for what Andrew said, make a profile on it. Maybe it'll go nowhere, maybe it'll be something great. And I'll say that with Mercury, it's the same kind of thing. I'll get an email from Ethan. It's a great opportunity. Just take whatever's given to you and roll with it. Because I come from a music background, so I used to be a professional musician. As soon as you start saying no to stuff, people are going to stop calling you. So just say yes to everything. And then when you hit a point and you're really full, then that's when you can start choosing what you're going to do. But until that point, just stay in the network however you can.
Yeah, Craig, I want to say, try as much as you can after you're finished with this kind of experience. This is the innovator's calendar, right? So the training that you get in Mercury is not, it isn't the above and beyond that is only during the growth phase. It is the discipline to hold 10% of your calendar open to experimentation. And if you don't learn if you don't learn any lessons from Mercury, please learn the lesson that like what you schedule into your calendar is what happens. And so putting that time away to go talk to a team or pull a team together, right? That is the discipline that I hope you get out of this.
And it's great to see you. And I want to say my own personal welcome to Dr. Bying and to Colonel Adamczyk. Congratulations, sir, to you. Fantastic. Thank you for joining us for this fireside chat. Really great to see you guys.
Hey, Jim, thank you so much. And you know what, I know it's a cliche, but in closing, if I can take another 20 seconds, is wearing the Project Mercury polo. I get here a new command, a Polish Air Force. I know hardly anything about the Air Force, not true, but so I go to the first meeting and don't know anybody. I wear the polo, and guess what? It's an icebreaker. Everybody's like, "Hey, what's a Project Mercury? It looks like an Air Force." And guess what? I was a rock star there. And so if you don't do anything else, wear the polo every now and then and advertise for the program, and that's what you can do. Thank you, and Jim, and it's great to see you here today as well.
Delighted to have you, Andrew. Back to you, Mo.
Sounds good. And Bob asked the question in the chat that I'm asking, that I think a lot of us are asking, is how do we get a Project Mercury polo? So I'm assuming we can all send our sizes in to Dr. Ethan and or post it on your LinkedIn page, and maybe we can all get a polo that way. All right, so I know that our esteemed panel is back from those difficult deliberations, and we know that everyone is on the nice list, but we are anxious to hear who's won which awards. First up, the people have voted and the votes are in. The People's Choice Award, which is the one that recognizes the team that's worked on solving a real problem with a real solution, as well as having that wow factor. And the winner is, drum rolls if you dare, the winner is the Flying Lions. So congratulations to the Flying Lions. Yes, thank you, Ethan. A round of applause. Perfect. All righty. There are 4 Prismatic Awards that are up for grabs, and the team who most embodies the spirit of each category in the Innovation Genome or Competing Values Framework. Dr. Theodotou will present the SAGE Award, representing the Innovation Genome Yellow Quadrant. This award goes to the team that best exemplified collaboration, values, and a focus on doing the things that last. Dr. Theodotou, the screen is yours.
Thank you so much, Mo, and congratulations to all the teams. You have put amazing work in, and you demonstrated your critical thinking and your newly formed innovation skills. So for that, we congratulate you. Now for the SAGE Award, I wanted to highlight the one team. And Mo, do I announce the team now? Can I do that?
Yes, ma'am, all yours.
Perfect. So we deliberated with our esteemed colleagues, and hands down, there was a clear winner, and the winner is the Swift Lions. You actually tackled a topic and a challenge that's clearly huge for the department right now, on how to increase our recruitment levels across not only the Air Force, but all the services. You demonstrated teaming and leadership in your video. I loved how you highlighted everybody in your intros, and you presented your perspectives and ideas in a meaningful and data-driven way. So for that, congratulations. And I can't wait to see what you're going to do next. We need to chat afterwards. So I'll turn it back to Mo. Thank you so much, and congratulations.
Thanks, Dr. Theodotou, and congratulations to the Flying Lions. Next up, Julie Pistol Janson will present the Artist Award, representing the Innovation Genome Green Quadrant. This award goes to the team that best exemplified creation, novelty, and a focus on doing new things. Pistol, the unmuted microphone is yours.
All right, Flying Lines, you got to share the love a little bit. So the Green Award is going to On the Fly, Team 4. Not every innovation is going to change the world overnight. In fact, most don't, but some really great innovations are the things that have compounding effects that grow over time. So we really think you nailed it on that one. Congratulations.
Awesome. Congratulations On the Fly. Next up, Brigadier General Retired Sloane will present the Athlete Award, representing the Innovation Genome Blue Quadrant. This award goes to the team that excelled in competition, speed, and had a focus on doing things now. General Sloane, over to you.
Thanks, Mo. Don't let it be lost, especially in the athlete category, that it's very important that everybody remember it isn't just about winning. It's about getting out there and competing. And in this case, everybody is stretched in new ways. The real product here is going to be how many different minds have been changed in the ways in which they apply innovation across their daily lives. So really great job. But I will tell you, the one project that really stood out, I think, to the overall group that is out there competing in the arenas today and will certainly be out there competing in the arenas tomorrow is Swift Justice. Great job with what they did. And I think greater even job with what they'll do in the future.
Outstanding. Thanks, General Sloane, and congratulations, Swift Justice. And finally, Lieutenant General Tuck will present the Engineer Award, representing the Innovation Genome Red Quadrant. This award goes to the team that exemplified control, process systems, and a focus on doing things right every time. General Tuck, I hand the controls to you.
Thank you, Mo, and congratulations to all teams. This is not an easy thing. You all were very prepared, and just wanted to say thanks up front for all of the hard work you put into to representing your specific teams. This one, the do things right, that control, you know, within the panel, we really thought hard on this one, just like we did on the others. And based on governance, based on process, based on ready to execute and the things that Mo mentioned, this award is going to go to Skybound, the Drone Council. Congratulations to them and for their presentation. Really great job here. Congrats.
Fantastic. Thanks, General Tuck, and congrats to Skybound. All right, Dr. DeGraff, we're now going to turn it over to you to announce the Innovation Excellence Award, recognizing the team that exemplified the spirit of innovation by tackling a wicked problem, taking risk, and stepping outside the silos to bring an implementable and valuable novel product to a stakeholder.
Well, surprisingly, this august group of coaches and judges, we came to a very similar conclusion. So we remember the whole idea here was agile combat employment, and how, in fact, do we support that? How does the multi-capable airman actually get an innovation how do we get it to the warfighter in a very short period of time? And how can an innovation lead to other innovations? And with that in mind, we gave the award to Kyber and the methanol battery, which the battery itself is one kind of innovation, but it leads to a whole other host of strategies and things that are possible from it. So congratulations to everybody on Team Kyber and to all the teams. And thank you to all the judges.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Dr. DeGraff. Yeah, and to echo that, panel members, thank you so much for your time and commitment to these innovative ideas presented by this Project Mercury Cohort 11. And congratulations to all the winners. And everyone's a winner because all this tireless work you've been doing. Today is graduation day. Now, the individuals on these slides have developed the culture, competency, and communities needed to help their units embrace a more innovative mindset. Individuals who complete all of the course requirements will be awarded a Certified Professional Innovator Certificate from the University of Michigan's School of Engineering. Our accomplished innovators are now part of the Project Mercury Alumni Network, And now you have the responsibility of being change agents that our units and the Department of Air Force needs. Next, we want to recognize a very special group of people passionate about innovation and personal growth, our coaches. They don't get extra pay, they just pour their ingenuity and dedication into their role as Project Mercury coaches. They also continue growing as innovation leaders. Congratulations to our new coaches, Anthony Potenzone, RJ Grimley, Shane, ! Smith, Laura Wilson, and Matt Glinsky. Thank you also to our experienced returning coaches, Mary Beth Slocum, Chris Lopez, Becky Gorman, Paul Ellis, and Brent Harland. Your wisdom and experience make the magic happen. Finally, our coaches selected team MVPs from Santa's nice list. These team members showed extraordinary dedication, leadership, and teamwork on those teams. The MVPs are as follows. From Team 1, Jamie Harland. From Team 2, Rebecca Kern. From Team 3, Dustin Scott. From Team 4, Sam Gordon Lightfoot. Team 5, Stacy Shaffron. Oh, I have a different name there. We'll figure that out. It's a tie. Maybe it's a tie. That's what it is. Oh, I'm sorry. Zach Johnson, I missed you. Team 5, Messenger Pigeon Posse. That's my bad. For Cohort 11, we are introducing a new award, the Coaching MVP Award from our coaching team, which is affectionately called Icing on the Failure Cake. Cohort 11's Coach MVP is the embodiment of dedication and inspiration within the coaching realm. She not only coached her team, but her unwavering commitment to excellence, ability to motivate, and willingness to serve others, teams and coaches alike, has inspired everyone who interacts with her. Her impact is also felt beyond Cohort 11, as she not only coached, but has co-founded and co-led the Project Mercury Alumni Outreach Project. One coach capped it well by remarking, "She does all of this with joy, and I love her energy and passion for organizing us." Another coach said, "She absolutely inspires me and is the kind of coach I hope to become." It is our pleasure to recognize Becky Gorman as our MVP coach. And congratulations to all of our MVPs. Now I'd like to hand it over to Jeff DeGraff, the Dean of Innovation, for the traditional coin presentation.
Yes, I have to go behind me here to all the coins to say what you're going to get here. So let me find it. Gosh, somewhere. Oh, here. See, I missed my cue on that. I'm sorry. Julie will have comments about this later, about my being off cue here. Everyone will get one of these really cool challenge coins. We have an amazing graphic artist who's done a lot of the stuff for the Air Force, Maggie Chen. She's amazing. You'll also get a certificate from the University of Michigan. Please make sure you have that added to your personnel file. I mean, it's a real thing. Make sure you promote it, you know, that you actually know how to do this. I know that in the conversations I've had with General Alvin, this is a big thing to have innovators in the Air Force. This is a very big ask. I really want to say across the board, you guys have done a terrific job. We just get better and better and better, or you guys get better and better. I want to give a special call out to Ethan Eagle and the amazing job that Ethan has done. Celeste Strajansky, she's the game master behind the scenes to Crash Sawyer. Takes me a minute because she's got a new name. I want to thank Jim Drzansky and all of our friends at Air University. And of course, our judges today, you know, General Tuck, General Sloane, Dr. Theodotou, Pistol Janson, and most importantly, I want to thank the coaches. I think they really do so much to really make this program work, because that's how we're going to get leverage and really make the difference that I think we are making. And I cannot emphasize enough that you now have a responsibility to go out and help change the culture, develop the capabilities in the Air Force, expand the network, right? We're not trying to make things a little nicer to sell to people. We're defending our country. And I just can't thank you enough for all of the work that you do. Most importantly, I wish everybody a happy and healthy holiday. Mo, I'm going to turn it back over to you. Congratulations to all of you.
Thank you so much, Dr. DeGraff. General Tuck, we're going to turn it over to you for some closing comments.
Thanks, everyone. Honestly, this is my first experience, but it's been amazing. And I can't thank enough, the people who helped pull this together to make it all work so that we could see 3 videos and get into Q&A and 3 wonderful presentations on the other side of that as well. And so just thank you for the hard work you all put into it. And if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to pass it over to Colonel Janson to close us out, Mo, if that's okay with you all. But again, just my thanks to everyone and to the panel. Wonderful job.
Absolutely, sir. Pistol, over to you.
Thank you, General Tuck. And it has been an honor to serve with the other panel judges. Obviously, I was on the lower rank, but I love this world and that we all hear each other evenly and can disagree. And that's why it's a wonderful world to be in. So I wanted to give you 3 things to think about as you depart today. Your journey is not over. It has only just begun. I won't start singing. So let's think about the past, present, and future. So the past. Please do not turn off your screen today and go, done. Got my certificate, got my coin, and I'm out. Take some time to reflect on how you responded to this challenge. In the Air Force, we get performance reports that say we're doing a really good job. We get firewall 5s. We are a very positive culture. In this world, you were put in a situation with a lot of ambiguity. You were probably working on a project and something you had no expertise in, and you were presented with a real challenge of how you deal with ambiguity and how you deal with uncomfortable situations. How you reacted to that situation says a lot about where you are in your journey. So please have a, use humility, have a honest conversation with yourself and identify the areas that you need to work on, because this program is very good at identifying those areas. But of course, as we teach, identify your strengths and identify those areas where you can help others. So that is where I challenge you to take some time to reflect on how you responded to this journey and what you got out of it. For the present, if you are actively pursuing your program, good for you. That is excellent. Obviously, life happens. We are in the military. You may need to move on. You may be PCSing. You may be deploying. So what I do challenge all of you to do in some way, shape, or form is to get your ideas out into the greater world, whether it be formal publication, posting something on LinkedIn, using Over the Horizon, which is a journal that has a much shorter approval timeline. They're more like a Substack than like a formal publishing platform. You have worked on this for the last 12 weeks. Do not let these ideas die. There are program managers out there. I used to be an ACE LOE lead, and I would have loved to have had all of your feedback and your lessons learned. Because for any of you who have served as a program manager, especially a very big one, you have all these things that you want answered, but you do not have time. So all of you contributed to the greater good during this process, and people need to hear your ideas, whether they were successes, whether they were failures. So please, I challenge you, please feel free to contact me if you want ideas, but just get your ideas out into the world. And then finally, for the future, you've heard it said a couple of times, but I really encourage you to coach. I have been with Project Mercury now for a very long time. I have learned exponentially more each time I coach. So it's not just about learning the innovation, it's learning how to be a better leader. This is a safe space where we are encouraged to give each other candid and constructive feedback. And that is something that we are sometimes lacking in our culture. So I want you to really challenge yourself to consider coaching. Even if the next iteration doesn't work, find something else. We do workshops. We have other programs. It will make you a better leader. And so what I will end on is the reason all of this is important is that I don't know if anyone has noticed, but we have multiple dilemmas going on in the world today, and they are only going to keep compounding. And we have a responsibility to be better innovators and better leaders, because the adversary has a say. They do not care that we're bigger. They do not care that we have more money. They will outsmart us if we let them. And so we cannot keep doing things the same way we have been doing them. We have to keep coming up with new ideas of how to do them differently. So that is my challenge to you. It has been so great to see you all. I love this community, and I hope that all of you who are new out there will become part of this community in the future. Thank you so much.
Wow, that's hard to top that. Thank you, General Tuck, and thank you so much, Pistol, for your insights and your takeaways and your go-dos. That is just the enthusiasm for that. That's perfect. That will conclude our showcase. So again, thank you to our esteemed panel members, our coaches, our students, and to everybody who's out there supporting everybody. We're going to have 6 breakout rooms open, 1 for each team. Make sure you get active on LinkedIn and make sure you get your Project Mercury polo wherever we can find those. We're going to leave the breakout rooms open for about 30 minutes for informal Q&A. It's BYO, so bring whatever you need. And thank you again. Keep the conversations going and keep innovating. Thank you all.
Superb job, Mo. Thank you so much. Just par excellence. Wonderful.
My pleasure.